Not sure how well you'll be able to hear me for this one. I'm making a video. As you can tell by the title, it's another Maximum Ride video. I know I've done God only knows how many of those, but this one I feel needed to be done. And it's a main explanation as to why I do so much of these, why I write stories for it, why I talk so badly about the movie, and of course, most of all, it's why I often try to get others to speak about it with me. So it's basically what's been done. As you can tell by the title, it's what's been done and what I fear will happen. It's going to be a long one. It started as a book series. I don't know when the books first came out. I really should have done my research for that. I know it was somewhere around the late 90s. So it started as a book series, sometime in the late 20th century. Excuse me. And sometime in the... So, what exactly is it about? I've already talked about it a million times. There's other fans of this series who have YouTube channels who could go into far more detail. I guess since I rarely tire of this, if I ever do, I'll explain it again. Maximum Ride is about 6 children, in order from our main character, who is the oldest, to the youngest. It's Max, Fang, Iggy, Nudge, the Gazman, or Gazzy, and Angel. There are 6 children. The youngest is 6 years old, the eldest is 14 years old. And they have a dog. The dog can talk. They were all experimented on by a group of scientists. These 6 children are human-avian hybrids, and for those who don't know, avian is just another way of saying bird. And I know a lot of you think, well, then why don't you just say bird? Well, the big reason that it'd be more appropriate for the series. So what's this story famous for? It's known for being a very original sci-fi story. I know Children Heroes has probably been done to death by the time this came out, by the time the first book came out. So Child Heroes, nothing new. Children being experimented on. It's horrible, but I don't know how many times they've done that in fiction. Most of the time in fiction, when children gain their powers, they were either willingly part of the experiment, had something happen, like something supernatural, something extraterrestrial, or in many cases, they were just born with them. This is the first thing I've seen where they were experimented on and quite obviously did not want to be part of the experiment. I often say that the scientists are connected to the Nazis, but and I hate to give spoilers away, but it's never fully confirmed if they have a connection to them or not. But are they the Nazis? Not officially, but I won't give away everything. I'm just going to tell you the basic stuff, and then get to what I fear will happen. The story is known for its elements of sci-fi, its elements of family, its elements of basically almost every genre you can imagine. Almost. There are a few that are left out, thank God. Um, it's known for its elements of sci-fi, family, and the bond, adventure, action, romance, and the family bond shared by our characters and how they grow and evolve throughout the series. Even if some say the decline of the series is in the fourth book, I don't see what they see. I don't know why, but to those of you who constantly say you don't like the fourth book, I don't see whatever it is you see. I still think it's okay. Are there changes? Well, yeah, but whether or not those changes are necessary, you can debate. The series is not as popular as many, including the author James Patterson, hoped it would be, which is a shame because it is a good story. Sometime, I think the first one came out even later in the 90s, but I wouldn't know. I wasn't here. It did get this part. It got an official English language manga adaptation. Drawn by South Korean artist Nara Lee. I'm going to pronounce it Nara till I learn the appropriate pronunciation. And I don't know, like, she just addresses herself as Korean. Everyone just calls her Korean. And I don't know if it's appropriate to call her South Korean or not, because my understanding, South Korea is just typically called Korea, and they ignore the existence of those a-holes up north of them. Wish we could do that. So I'm just going to stick with Korea. I'm just going to stick with calling it Korea and calling her Korean, I guess. But I may occasionally slip up and say South Korea or South Korean. Moving on. So Nara Lee drew the manga, and it is just as amazing as the books, if not more so. I recently introduced them to a friend. He said he liked them. I've been talking to people about it. I've talked about it on this YouTube channel before. It's just that manga is good because it's drawn well. It's attention to detail. You have to see it for yourselves. I can't fully explain it. Then you have the fact that despite a well-received manga, even being placed in the top 25, I have manga by I don't remember what company, it's still not as popular as it could be. The fan base is still not as big as it could be. So James Patterson did something that I really didn't care for. I still don't fully care for. He went up to Marvel, and they made a Marvel comic about it. I don't hate the Marvel comic. I don't hate it, but I don't fully like it either. And that's mainly because I've only seen a small bit of it, and what I saw, it just didn't feel right to me. Mainly because I get upset about this thing. I'm not sure if other Maximum Ride fans get upset about this, particularly not to the degree I do, but this minor thing, like our main character, Maximum Max Ride, her hair color in the books goes back and forth between blonde and brown. Some of us say, oh, maybe she dyes it. Well, they're on the run. I don't know where they'd get hair dye. And I personally think it's a side effect of the experiments done to them. Like, one day she'll go to bed with blonde hair, wake up the next day with brown hair, and vice versa. But moving on. But in the Marvel comic, it's red. Something that's minor, and I really shouldn't be so upset over. But like in the books, it goes back and forth between blonde and brown, and in the manga adaptation, it seems blonde. I mean, it could be like Again, when there's color, there's not always color in the manga. It's typically pretty black and white, like most manga are. But when there is color, there are a few colored pages, particularly on the covers of the manga. It is blonde, but I can see a bit of brown when I look at it. Maybe it's sort of a different shade of blonde or a different shade of brown that looks blonde. I have no idea. But in the Marvel comic, it's red. And I don't completely care for that. At all, in fact. So, moving on. So there's that, the Marvel comic. If you like the Marvel comic, you have the right to your own opinion. You have the right to your own opinion. I understand this is the internet. There's probably a million people who don't agree with me on that. But you have the right to your own opinion. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. After all, where I live in probably the greatest country on earth, in my opinion. Everyone has the right to their own opinion, no matter what they tell you. But just know that if you like the Marvel comic, go right ahead. You can like it. I just don't agree with you. And then there is the movie. A movie that my friend and I are going to together do a bit of a review on, and you don't have to watch that video. I really won't care less if you do or not. I don't know how he'll feel, though. What did I think of the movie? I think probably a few other Maximum Ride fans, I hate that movie. If you've ever watched my videos before and you've heard me talk about Maximum Ride, you know that I hate that movie. If I were typing this, the word hate would be in all caps. That shows how much I don't like that movie. And I'll give reasons why when we do the crossover review. When me and my friend do that review on his channel, I'll give you reasons as to why I don't like it. I just have a lot of reasons, and right now I don't have a lot of time. I'm hoping by the time we do that, I will have the time to explain all the reasons to why. And a lot of the fans agree with me. I don't know how many of them. I've heard some people say they like the movie. And if you like it, again, you have the right to your own opinion. You can go ahead and like it, but just know that I do not agree with you, and it's highly likely I never will like that movie. The Marvel comic I may give a second chance sometime in the future. But the movie, I'm sorry, after we review it on my friend's channel, I am never touching that movie again. I'm sorry. But here's what I fear will happen to the series. I've also talked about MASH on my channel. MASH is an acronym for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. And that's what MASH units historically were. They were basically hospitals on wheels, if you will. It took place during Korea and is another one of those best stories you've ever seen things, or rather that I have. I have never, much to my shame, even touched a copy of the original MASH book. I just know what I do about it. But I have seen the original MASH movie and the television series, and I love both of them. But what's this have to do with Maximum Ride? Well, here's the thing. Recently, I've been hearing rumors that either Rooster Teeth, the same geniuses behind RWBY, or Netflix, or possibly even the anime company called Funimation, would try to take a crack at making a series based on Maximum Ride. My fear is that we'll go the same route that MASH went. the route of book to movie to show. And be this show live action or animated, I really wouldn't care less. I'd love to see it either way. I just don't care if it's animated or not. But my fear is, while most people agree that the MASH TV show is more of its own thing, like it's 95% its own thing, and 5% of the original movie, rarely ever is the book even acknowledged. It takes more from the movie than it does from the book when it's not being its own thing. And that's what I don't want to happen to Maximum Ride. I can't control those companies. I can't control what corporations do. But I would much prefer that if there is a series, and if it's a series that does its own thing, that's fine. I'd love to see that. But my main problem is that if there is a show, be it animated or not, and be it by any one of those three, okay, well, if it were Funimation, it'd have to be an anime, but I'm not sure how Rooster Teeth does things. I think they just do whatever. If it is animated or not, my fear is that we'll take more from the movie than it will from the book, and I don't want that to happen. I'd rather the books be praised, and the movie, after I'm done hating on it, and after hopefully a lot of people are done hating on it, I'm hoping that the movie just fades into obscurity. As many Maximum Ride fans have the patience to do something I can't. They can ignore that the movie exists. I, for some reason, am incapable of doing so. And as well, I'm hoping that even if it isn't fully based off the books, if it takes almost nothing from the books, because remember, you got to take from the original source, the books. I'm hoping that shows both the books and the manga a little bit of proper respect. That's all I can ask for, is that whoever does it, if there is a series and whoever's doing it, shows the books and the manga a little bit of respect. That's all I ask for. And as for what I've heard of those rumors, I'll get to those in another video. Right now, I got some stuff to attend to in the real world. But for now, farewell.